Good morning and welcome back. So, we have a number of little tidbits of enlisted news today. Number one, and probably the most interesting for everybody here, is that there is a new dev server up. I've only looked at it a little bit. It looks like they haven't actually implemented a whole lot of the changes that they've talked about yet into it. My understanding from reading the forum a little bit is that the main point of this fourth dev server is to confirm that player transfers are working correctly. They basically want to make sure that when the update drops, you keep all of your weapons, all of your vehicles, you get the right amount of silver, that you don't lose any of your progression, so on and so forth. I'm sure that I'll have a look in there and see what all's different, if anything. I'll probably complain about some of the BRs again, because that's just what I do. But the other thing that I thought was interesting are these preliminary patch notes. Now, I made a couple notes, so I'm not going to go through everything in here. If you're interested, you can go through. But there's a few things that stood out to me. So, there's a number of AI changes. So, they can now climb up and down most ladders. They can now be positioned based on their skills and vehicles. And they can use machine guns. Them using machine guns is kind of nice. The ladders, I mean, maybe they won't jump off roofs and die as much anymore. And the vehicle thing, I kind of, I think it'll be good, but the AI are also kind of dumb. So I'm sure we're still going to get into situations where we have 3 slots, and you've got like a brand new tank, right? You've got 3 crew in the tank. You're trying to sit in the commander's seat, and every time you switch to the gunner seat, he's probably going to keep going back to the loader, even if he doesn't have loader perks. So that's still going to be an issue, I think, but at least from the sounds of it, you won't have to, I don't know, pre-position your troops as much. See, I really don't know how it's going to work. Right now, when you go in and you select which soldiers you want in your squad, you can move them around so that the ones with the correct perks end up in the seats you want them to. I'm guessing that this is going to automatically do that, but I guess that'll remain to be seen. I don't know. It's probably a good change, but to be honest, it sounds like it's not going to do a whole lot to me. There's a bunch of things about graphics, visuals, mission locations. If you want to look at all of those specific things, or like random, improvements, you guys can do that. The sound stuff too. Most of the important stuff, though, is right in this section. It either talks about things being added, things being adjusted. So, number one, first and foremost, medics can now use assault rifles. I think they've said before that most of the rank 1 assaulters are going to become medics, so that kind of makes sense. Based off of what they had said before, it sounds like you're going to get 2 of each type of squad. So what this potentially means is that you'll be able to go into your high-tier campaigns like Normandy and Berlin with your rank 4 and 5 stuff. Let's say you play Germany, and theoretically, you'll be able to run 2 assault squads with STG 44s, be able to run 2 medic squads with STG 44s, and you'll be able to run your premium event fancy engineer squad from Stalingrad, or if you're not Russia, if you're America or Japan, from the upcoming event, and you'll be able to put on whatever your assault rifle equivalent is. So that's probably not going to make everybody happy, but That's really all I've got for it is eh. It doesn't really change from what you can currently do. I mean, if you go to Berlin right now, you can put on, or Normandy for that matter, you can put on 3 assault squads and load them up with assault rifles. You can then take, like, Berlin, and you can take your sniper squads, and you can load them out like assaulters too. So I don't think it's a significant change or split from what we currently have. Um, There's probably going to be more assault rifles than people had wanted before because people wanted them to limit the number of assaulters you had available before. But at the same time, we're talking about every rifleman having an FG42-2 or an AVT-40, so or an M2 carbine. I just don't think it really matters. Honestly, at this point, they could put assault rifles on every soldier at rank 5, and I don't think it would make a significant difference. I mean, people are already going to prioritize running them if they've got them. So, I don't know. It is what it is. In addition to that, the rider classes can also use assault rifles now. I'm really curious to see what that means for the premium ones. I mentioned in one of my previous videos, I got the premium bikes back in the day in one of the sales, and it's probably my least used premium squad that I've ever gotten. I was never really a huge fan of it. They're good in Tunisia for just zipping out and placing like flanking spawn points, but eh. But anyway, the reason why I bring it up is you can equip the engineer in that squad with an SMG right now, so an MP40 or a Thompson, I think is what they normally come with. Um, I'm curious if it's going to treat the premium ones like riders and give them access to assault rifles, because they're not like a normal premium squad, they're kind of like the flamethrower troops where you can pull off their main weapons and you can give them whatever you want. And you can also, they have backpacks now, but in the past I had to run them with secondary weapons. So I'd run them with like an SMG and like a bolt action rifle, so I could flank with them and fight at like a standoff range, or I could bring them into like push a point. But anyway, the point is it's like a 3-man squad. It sounds like you're going to be able to run assault rifles on all of the riders. I'm just curious about the engineer that's in there. It might become like an option that people do to just forego the engineer and just take uh, 3 riders with assault rifles. I think the value of the engineer is most of the value in the squad, though, so I don't think that many people will do it. And admittedly, giving the engineer like an FG42 or giving him like honestly, I wouldn't even give him like an M2 carbine. I'd probably give him a Grand just to have a little bit more punch at range if I was using the American British one. Um, so yeah, is what it is. In addition to that, they apparently took the M3 submachine guns, and I'm curious if it's only the M3 or the M3A1, but it just says M3 submachine guns, so I'm assuming it's just the base M3. And they improved its accuracy, reduced its recoil, and made it more predictable. Now, it's already a pretty stable gun because it's got a low fire rate. It's probably going to be very powerful coming out of this. In addition to that, the Pedersen device on the Springfield got a fire rate buff so that it's more like other pistol caliber carbines. Paratroopers apparently will be able to use certain compact weapons that can be used by the tanker class. Now, again, this isn't on the dev server, so how it actually performs in game will remain to be seen. I read on one of the forums that it may just be a limitation removal for mod designers, but I can't actually confirm that that's definitely what it is. It's very possible that this is going to be a change that gets applied to all paratroopers, but like I said, that remains to be seen. If it does get applied to everybody, the benefit is going to be that you can throw them out of planes in lower tier matches, and you're not going to be stuck taking like the 100 round drum Thompsons every time that you want to play the American Premium Paratroopers. But I guess we'll see. In addition to that, and this one's probably the biggest one to me, it's not really a huge change, mind you. It's just something that I complain about a lot. They've improved the reloading for a few of the semi-auto rifles. So the SMLE Mark III, the Leonfield No. 4 Mark I, the Gewehr 98 Wartime mod, the Johnson M41, the Kar 98K Trench, the 1903 Air Service, the Turner SMLE, and basically what they've changed is that depending on the number of rounds in the magazine, you either load it by clip or by cartridge. So what it really is them modernizing the reload animations on some of the older weapons in the game. If you use a lot of the newer weapons in the game, most of them have pretty good animations where they vary depending on if you've got a round in the chamber or how many rounds you have in the gun. But a lot of the older weapons, you would just do a standard reload animation no matter what. With some of the Gewehrs, I distinctively remember you would always slam like 2 stripper clips in, whether you had 9 rounds in the gun, or 1 round in the gun, or 0 rounds in the gun. So seeing them change, that'll probably be a good thing. The Turner SMLE, there were times where, depending on how you did your reloads, because you had 2 stripper clips, because it's a 10-round rifle that reloads in stripper clips of 5. Now, it was modern enough that if you only needed to do a partial reload, you'd stick, 1 stick of 5 rounds into the gun, right? You could get to points where you'd be on your last reload because you carry about 30 rounds. Let's say you have chronic reloading syndrome like I do. And you would get to your last reload, and instead of putting in 2 stripper clips, you'd put in like 7 stripper clips, because it treated each stripper clip like it was a magazine instead of a stripper clip. So it'll be nice to have that go away. It's really not like a huge major game-changing change. To be honest, the next step from this, I'd like to see the ability to interrupt reloads, where you do a partial reload and then resume it if you like stab somebody or run or whatever. But yeah, that looks like all of the major changes that stuck out to me. They say they made some of the Russian submachine guns a little bit more comfortable to use, but what that actually means remains to be seen. It's probably like visual recoil. But yeah, definitely get out there and try out the test server if you haven't yet. It looks like this is going to be live until tomorrow, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see some news about when the patch is dropping by Friday, given that they already have preliminary patch notes out. I think the merge is right around the corner. Maybe the end of this week, maybe early next week. We know that the Russian paratroopers are coming, and they had said that they wanted to get them out before the end of the month, but I imagine at this point they're getting pushed back to whenever the merge drops, and I'm sure the merge will drop whenever it's ready. But yeah, get out there, enjoy, win your games, get your last few campaign levels ground out, because it looks like we're getting to the end.